very much for joining this webinar about one of Cloudsfer's newest additions and features called the backup solution. Just as an FYI, I hope that everybody joining this webinar are currently working from home in these very interesting times and days, and everybody is healthy and keeping safe. And so let's discuss the new feature about Cloudsfer and backup service. And let's talk a little bit about Cloudsfer. Who is not familiar yet with Tsunami, the company that actually does the migration services. So Tsunami is over 10 years now, has been one of the leading companies for a data migration solution. We have lots of experience with two solutions. One is Cloudsfer for cloud-to-cloud migration. The other one is Deployer for enterprise on-premise migrations to SharePoint and Office 365. And over the years, we've accumulated in the top Fortune 500 companies from every other aspect of the industry: aviation, financial, government, pharmaceuticals. And we're serving a multitude of world-class customers and companies. And in regards to Cloudsfer, we actually have multiple of integrations, and that until now were served as a cloud-to-cloud migration service. But as I mentioned, the new feature for our backup solution actually allows you to perform backup from any one of those cloud storage environments and into any other cloud, or even do the backup to the file system or an on-premise environment and vice versa. And so that gives a lot of flexibility to the customer. When we do the backup solution, we actually allow you to choose the source system that you are looking to backup and the destination of the backup, which the backup is going to reside. We do not save any of the data in the meantime during the backup process, and we allow you to perform the backup, and have the complete flexibility of it throughout the process. And instead of using other backup services that actually store the backup on other locations and you don't have access to it until you need it. So you have access to it and you have the total flexibility. As we mentioned, Cloudsfer is very simple to use and robust solution, and usually designed for all data migration, but now we provide backup solutions from personal customers that look to back up their personal data, and even photos from the Google Photos into any cloud storage or file system environment. It evolved from the years of experience that we have through Tsunami and the flagship Deployer tool, as I mentioned, that does enterprise migrations to any SharePoint environment and Office 365. A little bit about the backup solution that we are now offering. So we have three segments. As I mentioned, you can select the source and the target system, and we do not store the data, so you have complete control and complete flexibility on the entire process while we do the daily backups. And the new one is actually the cloud to on-premise. So you can back up any cloud data into your local environment, whether it's a Box, Dropbox, Google Drive, OneDrive for Business, Office 365, SharePoint Online, and Ignite, PM360, Procore. All of those can be backed up into a local file system environment throughout the life cycle of the data. And most of the systems that also support versioning, let's say, for example, Dropbox or Box, if there is a recent modification during the Delta process, we actually use it as a new version in the target system. So we do not overwrite anything. We do not delete any data throughout the migration process. We just copy and store new information, either as new data item or as a new file version. We also provide the option to do cloud-to-cloud backup. And that's let's give it an example. If someone wants to migrate or backup from Dropbox, but they want the identity of the target backups, the target backup to be in a cheaper storage, okay, and which can be Amazon S3, Alibaba Object Cloud Storage, and any of those Jungle Disk, which are also advertising as a very cheap and storage solution, Backblaze B2, and so on and so on. And this is something that we also offer. And we also have the backup solution for on-premise to cloud. So as we mentioned, we can do a backup from a local file system into any cloud storage environment supported by Cloudsfer. It can also be from SharePoint 2013, 2016, the on-premise versions, for example, And we have also a lot of other systems which can be supported and via all of the integrations that we have under the company Tsunami. As we're talking about archiving data, in Cloudsfer we have over 30 integrations for cloud storage providers and file systems and on-premise environments and solutions and so on and so on. But we also have other network protocols like Amazon S3 compatible storage, WebDAV, FTP, the file system itself, and which actually allows you to and opens a very wide umbrella of other cloud storage services that can be used as the source or as the destination of your backup. For example, you can back up the data with our S3 compatible storage into Wasabi and into IBM Cloud, for example, and that just opens up the possibilities. So even if you have a custom repository and you can implement one of those protocols, the WebDAV, FTP, or the S3 compatible storage, and this is something that we would also be able to support it during the backup process. I'm going to show you a demonstration quite soon, in a minute or so, how to do a migration and backup in Cloudsfer. But it's a very simple and easy process to configure. You select the source system and data that you look to backup. You then select the destination of the target system you're going to backup, whether if it's an on-premise or local environment, another cloud storage provider, or any other of the integrations that we have in Cloudsfer. You choose the backup time frame. If you want to perform the backup on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, monthly basis, at a specific date and time, and we will just launch the triggers, or we will redo the backup on that specific interval automatically without you having to do anything in the process. So we just set the time frame. And then we just kick off the job for the backup. It's going to run in the background automatically, and as we just highlighted. As you know, for example, if you look to migrate, let's say 1 terabyte of data between 2 cloud storage providers. And so the initial backup might take a while, okay, because we need to migrate or transfer all the data as the first phase of the backup. But then let's say that we are running on a daily basis, you can actually perform the Delta migration, or Delta migration actually happens automatically on a daily basis. So every day at the specific time that you configured during the migration process, you actually have the option to do the Delta. We only transfer the residual data, only the newly modified and newly added files and folders that were added or modified since the last time the backup run, let's say yesterday. And including, we also do not delete anything, as I mentioned, and the destination of the target system also identifies the behavior once a file was modified. So if we're migrating to a system which does not support file versioning, we will upload the file or we will overwrite it as the newest version. But if we're migrating to one of the systems, for example, S3, Dropbox Box, Google Drive, Ignite, Backblaze, BIM 360 Docs, and many more systems. So if a file was modified, we will actually upload it as a newer version. So the older version will remain in the target. You will have all the file version history throughout the backup process, just as a reference. And while you're doing the backup, you can enjoy all of Cloudsfer benefits, complete scalability. You can run multiple backup processes from any system to any system according to what your company needs, you personally need, or as an IT company, you need for one of your customers. And you can perform an analysis. Let's say that you don't know what is the initial amount of data that you need to migrate or backup for, let's say, a specific folder. We have analysis options to get you the general figures of how much data, files, folders, distribution of the files, and in the migration. And that actually allows you to accumulate a little bit more knowledge and for free before you even commit to the process of the backup. We have 24/7 support. That includes a support team that you can contact by email, email ticketing service, phone, live chats, mainly via Zoom. And you will also get access to newly launched features versions and fixes. You can get complete migration reports, and also we have years of experience in the support department as well. So any inputs would be appreciated. Regarding customization, if you need to apply some filtering during the migration, you need to maintain some sort of permissions or add some more advanced configurations or options to your backup plan, we can develop it for you. We have a development team in-house that actually built this backup solution, and we would be more than happy to hear if anything else is needed from your end, or even if you have, you can submit or request a feature, which we will take into consideration, because we are always looking to improve the tool and enhance the performance and the options in the backup process. A little bit about the backup and how secure it is. As I mentioned, we are now the newest addition in the backup. The thing that we developed was actually supporting the file system as a destination, okay? And when we're doing migration into your local and on-premise environment, you can actually, you actually run the backup in a secure and hosted environment near your location. All the data is being downloaded or dumped into your environment as a replication or as another source to have the data as a backup. As I mentioned, we do not store your data throughout the migration project. You want to switch into another system, you want to back up another system, we don't interfere in the middle. We have a very nice way of actually maintaining the backup on a daily basis without accessing any bit of your data or storing any data. We run the backup into the on-premise environment and within the local infrastructure in a very secure way. Each customer has their own secure token, which is provided by Cloudsfer, and the entire communication throughout the process is encrypted. And we also provide custom tailored solution capable of running within client local infrastructure in case other services or professional services are needed. As I mentioned, we have dev team and support team that are here for you. So before we go into the live demonstration, a little bit in contact information about Cloudsfer: mailing address, phone number. You have the email address for your sales if you are looking or interested in hearing more about the backup options, and the pricing. Feel free to contact us at sales@tsunami.com, and you can also contact our support team via our website, cloudsfer.com. And now we can go to the demonstration. So let me just close this presentation. And in order to start a new backup in Cloudsfer, all we need to do is actually to create a new Cloudsfer account and start to do the migration, because everything is cloud hosted. So when I'm clicking here to log in, I'm actually logging into my Cloudsfer account. And you will be able to see in the main interface of our application that we have multiple services that can cater every migration needs. We have personalized migration to do a cloud-to-cloud migration. We have multi-user migration that actually allows you to create a mass amount of migration plans simultaneously in our backend. We have the on-premise to cloud solution and the backup service, which is the newest feature. Let's first of all start and show you a quick demonstration of a personalized migration between two cloud storage providers. Okay, so I'm going to show you an example migration from Box, my Box admin account, into Ignite. And I just want to walk you through the process and then show you how easy it is to use the backup process. So as a source, I'm going to select Box. And actually authorize and access to Box. And you can see that everything is managed on the Box API. So we do not save the credentials, the email address. We just get a secure token as the Box best practices and the API recommendation. So we do not save any passwords during the migration process or throughout the environment. As a source, I'm going to select one of the users, QA. You can see that under the user, there is a lot of nested data over here. And I want to select that entire user. So I'm going to select save and continue. As a destination, we're going to select Ignite. I'm going to insert my domain and actually allow access again without storing any credentials or passwords throughout the process. and I want to migrate the entire data of my box user into Cloudsfer. Cloudsfer is one of the personal drives or an account which is managed on the Ignite site. I'm going to click here to save and continue. We have optional settings here. We have the advanced options in case you have already done that specific migration process, so you want to skip existing files or overwrite existing files. As I mentioned, as a new version and in Ignite, you can apply filters according to the file size and file type if you want to include or exclude something, and according to the creation and modification date that you have on the source box. Here you can also migrate the permissions. So you can see, for example, how we manage the transfer or copy of the permissions. You can see all the permission levels exist on my box domain. So for example, if a group or a user or an external collaborator has the editor permission, we can map it as editor. So you go ahead and actually create a mapping of all the permission levels that you want to migrate throughout the process. You can also apply here the user mapping in case user emails are not identical between the source and target system. And we also have the option to manage the versions. You can migrate the latest file versions, and we can maintain the last and 5 version through the migration process. Again, this is something which can be configured exactly as you need for each and every migration. I'm going to press here to skip. And this is how we configure a regular migration plan. We transfer the data of the user QA into the user Cloudsfer between Box and Ignite. We have the option to perform an analysis. We can schedule the migration plan for later, or we can start the migration right away. So now you will be able to see that we created in the backend a new migration between Box and Ignite. The migration is currently running, and we start copying all the data over with all the permissions, with security, the metadata, and the file versioning into Ignite. Now let's get to the fun part, which is the backup service. I'm going to press the backup, and now I want to show you one of the newest integrations that we have in Cloudsfer. And integration is for the construction software called Procore. It actually allows you to store and nest all the construction related documents and information in one centralized hub and in the cloud. And so I'm going to connect to the Procore account. And select the company that I want to connect into and one of the projects, the construction project that I have as a testing environment. And I want to decide that I want to back up the entire project. Again, this could be an entire Box account. This can be a specific folder in Dropbox. It can be a Teams drive. It can be the shared drive in Ignite. It can be any other source path that you want. Okay, I'm just using Procore because it's one of our newest integrations. I'm going to click here to save and continue. I want to back up the entire project. And as a target, you can see that we support multiple cloud storage environments. And I'm going to select here the file system as a destination. Here, we would need to install the Cloudsfer agent on my local environment. Okay, so I'm going to show you how quick it is. So we click here to add a new agent. This is the secure token, which is associated with my Cloudsfer account. I'm copying it and downloading the agent. I'm pressing here to add this new registry in the database for the new secure agent. And now we get to the installation of the Cloudsfer agent. I'm going to click here, save and continue. I'm going to click next. I'm going to insert the secure token here to ensure that there is a secure communication. And let's give the agent a name called Cloudsfer Webinar. Let's press the next and install. When we finish, we can launch the Cloudsfer on-premise agent. You will be able to see here on the bottom of the screen that we have a new agent for Cloudsfer. We just have a secure connection. It turned green. The agent name was changed to Cloudsfer Webinar. So we're now connected and ready to do the migration or the backup. As a destination, I want to migrate or back up the project into the D drive. So I'm going to create a new folder here on my local PC and call it Cloudsfer Webinar Target. and actually create it as a destination. This is the folder I now created. And let's press save and continue. And now all you need to do is actually decide when would you like to have the backup. Would you like it to run on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, or a monthly basis? At which specific time? Again, when we are running the backups, because we have customers from all around the globe currently, and the entire backups are managed in UTC time zones. So here I am setting up a new backup, and I'm going to set it to 3 p.m. and 3:25. I'm gonna check here to say that I accept to run this backup, and we set up the new backup migration. And again, the backup is very simple. You select the source path, the target path that you would like to migrate. We chose to migrate into my local file system, and now we have a new backup job, which is actually saved behind the scenes. You can see that it needs to run every day at 3:25, and it's a backup migration, so you can distinguish each and every one of them. You can also change the name if you want, and so we have this. While we wait for the backup to run in a couple of minutes, because it's time triggered, and I also want to show you another backup, okay? But this time I'm actually going to select, let's say, SharePoint Online. And I want to back up an entire site from SharePoint Online. So I'm going to load and actually I can select one of the users on SharePoint Online to back up their OneDrive for Business accounts, or I can select one of the sites. I want to connect into the site called Demo in SharePoint Online. And now again, I can select the route. Okay, I can press save and continue. I want to back up the entire site from SharePoint Online. But right now, as a business, I want to migrate or back up into another cloud solution. So if there is an integration which is currently not supported by Cloudsfer, you have the option to actually use the WebDAV, the FTP, the S3 compatible, or even the on-premise connector to actually integrate into any other system. You saw that there are a variety of systems that support the S3 compatible. So let me show you how we connect, for example, into Wasabi storage. So excuse me, but I have another note here because it's a very complex password. I'm going to insert the URL to connect into the Wasabi account. I'm going to insert the access key, and I'm going to insert the secret key, and I'm going to list the buckets. Sorry about that. We have a bucket in Wasabi storage called test Cloudsfer. I'm pressing here to submit. And now we're actually connected into a whole different system, a whole different integration. I already have a folder here called webinar. So this is the destination that I want to back up all the data. So let's call it an SPO SharePoint Online demo site. This is going to be the backup destination. I'm going to select it and press save and continue. And right now in the summary, we need to select the interval. So I want to do it on a daily basis. Again, we're working in UTC. So I want to do it in 3:30 UTC, which is in 4 minutes. So just like that, we're able to connect to Wasabi, one of the systems which is not directly supporting Cloudsfer, but Wasabi were flexible enough to actually provide S3 API, and we are able to connect to it directly. You can see that the backup job I did is actually running because the trigger was initiated. So now we start with the initial transfer. We also have the migration from Box to Ignite running in the background. We can go here on the left side panel to the activity page. And you can actually see that the migration from Box to Ignite is already started running. You can see throughout the migration process how many folders were created in Ignite, how many items were transferred throughout the migration process into the Cloudsfer personal drive. And you can also download a detailed report stating to the file and folder level what happened throughout the migration process. And if something happened throughout the process, we get some exception or what else, you will get a detailed description about it. We can also see the Procore migration that we've done, or let's call it the Procore new backup plan. And we start now to back up the entire project from Procore called Cloudsfer demonstration into my local system. So you can see that under file system, under my D drive, we actually started to do the backup to Cloudsfer webinar target. So let's go back and let's search under my D drive, Cloudsfer webinar target folder. This is Cloudsfer demo, the project name. And you can see that we now start to nest all the folder structure and all the files within that specific folder, and we start to do a backup of the project. Again, tomorrow on the same time, when we're going to run the second backup, this is actually going to only migrate the residual data or the recent changes, so you will have another backup on the on-premise environment. Okay, so that's it for the entire process. You can see how easy it is to configure a regular migration plan, as I showed from Box to Ignite, to do a couple of backups to run on a daily basis, whether you need it for your personal uses or you need to, as a contingency plan, to back it up for your company. Now, I think that the demonstration from my end is completed, and I was really wondering if anyone has any questions so far. We have quite a few panelists here, and which are actually happy to answer any questions. Okay, very good. I can see a few questions behind the scenes. So our support and sales team will contact all the attendees in the webinar, which actually posted any questions. If you have any other questions about the process itself, you want to perform a free trial evaluation in Cloudsfer, we would be more than happy to provide it. Our support team is here for you. You need some more pricing information about the backup process, the daily backup. We also have the sales@tsunami.com. Please feel free to reach us. Or if you have any other questions, please let us know. The recording of this webinar is going to be on our social media and social challenges in the LinkedIn, in the Instagram. And I can see that we have a couple more questions. Yeah, I can see from Michal that Michal is asking, I have a link to those backups. I can create a new date folder every week. Yeah, you can create the new folder every week. Actually, you can contact us. We have another option in Cloudsfer to actually add a suffix during the backup. So the initial transfer, you transfer the folder with the specific date in which the folder was created. And then let's say on another week, we can create all the data structure from scratch again, but it will be hosted under a new folder with another timestamp of that specific occasion or when we started to back up again the data. We also have another question from Andres. What is the max amount of data that can be transferred at once? Again, the maximum of data can be transferred is unlimited, okay, because as we mentioned, Cloudsfer is completely scalable and can be split up into multiple backup processes. So regardless the amount of data, whether if you have 30 gigabytes of data, we also have clients that approached us with 30 terabytes of data and from Dropbox and other systems, we can actually cater every migration need and every migration volume for you. Again, the initial transfer can take a while, depends on the source and target system, and depends on the source and target system. But then we're going to launch Delta migrations, let's say on a daily basis. We also have another question about security, and if we have it described. how it is treated that the company data is not stolen. As I mentioned, it's a very good question. The entire process of Cloudsfer is actually encrypted throughout the way. And when we use the ADA, our environment is cloud hosted in AWS. So, and we actually serve as a buffer zone. We only store the data until it is being uploaded or backed up into the destination system, and automatically we do a safe delete. And if you are more concerned about the security of the migration, you can contact our support or sales team. I think you've already been in contact with our sales team, and we can send you a security white paper or even schedule another call to highlight and demonstrate the security and the security that Cloudsfer is actually in charge of during the migration process. Okay, and very, very good. And thank you for the questions. Indeed, we had some interesting questions. And usually when we show a demonstration to customers, they don't have a lot of questions because they just want to try out the backup solution. They say it's simple enough, it looks very straightforward, so I appreciate the questions. And so again, if you need anything, please contact us throughout any accessible channel, and email, social media, and you name it. And please let us know how we may be of help. And we're looking forward to start helping you in backing up your data, the process, and don't leave anything behind. We want you to have anything according to the company contingency plan, and we will be in touch. Thank you very much, and stay safe and stay healthy.